She said, "I twisted my ankle. Can you carry me?" And I replied, "Only if you let me take you home." Quote, I did not plan to say that. It just came out, right there in the middle of the storm, with gravel sliding under our feet and Main Street turning into a river. My name is Ryan Cole. I live in a small Colorado town called Silver Creek, the kind of place with one stoplight, one diner, and a hardware store that sells everything from nails to birthday cards. I work as a carpenter and part-time EMT. Most days I fix broken porches and patch drywall. Some nights I ride in the ambulance when dispatch calls. She is not from here. Her name is Madison Hale. She owns the big glass hotel on the hill, the new one everyone in town loves to hate and secretly needs. The tourists stay there. The town survives because of it. Madison is the face on every brochure, the woman in the dark blazer at every town meeting, the one people whisper about when she leaves the room. I met her on the worst weather day of the month. The sky over Silver Creek went from blue to steel in 10 minutes. I was finishing a railing on Mrs. Porter's porch when the first crack of thunder rolled over the mountains. The air smelled like rain and hot asphalt. I packed my tools, told Mrs. Porter to stay inside, and started walking toward my truck. That is when I saw Madison. She was across the street, near the old brick storefronts, heels clicking on uneven sidewalk, blazer gone, white shirt rolled up at the sleeves, phone pressed to her ear. Her hair was pulled back, but a few strands had already escaped in the wind. She looked like a person trying very hard not to look rushed. "I do not care what the investors think," she was saying into the phone. "If we fire staff in the middle of tourist season, this town is done. You can tell them I said that." She ended the call hard and shoved the phone into her pocket. The first fat drops of rain hit the pavement. People started running for cover. Madison checked the sky, checked the time, and then started toward the hotel up the hill. The sidewalk by the corner of Maple and Main has a bad spot. I have told the town council about it twice, a loose patch of broken concrete that shifts when it is wet. I was opening my truck door when I heard the sound. A sharp catch of breath, a short yell, the kind that says pain more than fear. I turned fast. Her heels slid on the slick concrete. Her ankle rolled hard to the side. She tried to catch herself on the brick wall, but her foot gave out. She went down on one knee, hands slapping the ground, rain splashing up around her. I was beside her in seconds. "Do not move," I said. She looked up at me. Up close, her eyes were lighter than I expected, a strange mix of green and gray. They were also full of anger, not at me, at herself. "I am fine," she said. Her ankle said otherwise. The joint was already swelling above the strap of her heel, skin pulling tight. I bent closer and pressed my fingers lightly along the side. "You twisted it," I said. "Bad." She flinched, jaw tightening. "I do not have time for this," she muttered. "I have a meeting in 20 minutes. The board is calling in from New York. They already think I am falling apart." Quote, "Board can wait," I said. "Your ligaments cannot." The rain came harder now, soaking her open shirt and my work jacket. Thunder rolled again. The sidewalk shined. She tried to stand anyway. "I can walk," she said. She put weight on the ankle and her whole body went rigid. Her hand shot out and grabbed my arm on instinct. Her fingers were cold and strong. I felt the pain hit her before I saw it on her face. "Okay," I said. "That is enough." She hated the way she leaned on me. I could feel it in the way her shoulders set, in the way she tried to keep space between us, even while she used my arm. "I twisted my ankle," she said, voice thin with pain and pride. "Can you just help me to my car?" That is when the line slipped out. "Can you carry me?" She added, almost joking, almost not. "Only if you let me take you home," I replied. Her eyes widened, not offended, just surprised. For a second, the CEO mask cracked, and something almost like a smile tugged at her mouth. "Home is up that hill," she said, nodding toward the hotel. "The board will have a heart attack if I miss this call." Quote, I looked at the hill, the rain, the slick pavement, the way she could barely keep weight on one leg. "You will not make it up there on that ankle," I said. and you should not be in a glass building on a hill if this storm gets worse." She hesitated. Pride wrestled with common sense. Thunder cracked again, closer this time. The smell of wet creosote from the railroad tracks drifted between us. "Where would you take me?" she asked. "My place is 3 blocks that way," I said, nodding down Oak Street. "Ground level. No marble stairs. I have ice packs and an old recliner that does not care what your title is. You can do your board call from there if the power holds." Her hand tightened on my arm. "You are Ryan, right?" she asked. "You spoke at the last town meeting. About the sidewalk and about wages." "Yeah," I said. "I am not helpless," she said. "I know," I answered. "You are just hurt." Rain ran down her cheek and caught on her lashes. She let out a slow breath. "Fine," she said. "You can carry me. But if you try anything, I will blacklist your entire family from my hotel." Quote. Something in my chest eased. "Deal," I said. I turned and lowered myself in front of her. After a heartbeat of hesitation, she looped her arms around my shoulders and let her weight settle against my back. She was lighter than she looked in meetings, all sharp lines and hard decisions. Up close, she felt tense, compact, like a spring wound too tight. "You okay?" I asked. "Just move," she said. I stood, hooked my hands under her thighs, and started walking. The rain blurred the world into gray and color. Storefronts flashed past. Mrs. Porter watched from her window with big eyes. I pretended not to see her grin. Madison's breath warmed the side of my neck. Every few steps I felt her wince when the motion sent a jolt through her ankle. "You really live 3 blocks away?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Old brick duplex. My uncle left it to me when he moved to Arizona. Not fancy." "Nothing in this town is fancy," she muttered. "You built the fancy part," I said. She was quiet for a second. "That is kind of the problem," she said. We turned onto Oak. The storm wind funneled down the street, pushing against us. I ducked my head and held her a little tighter, careful not to make it weird. "What problem?" I asked. "You do not need to know my business," she said. "Too late," I answered. "You are on my back." She made a sound that was almost a laugh and almost a groan. We reached my place, a 1-story brick box with a small covered porch and a crooked mailbox. I shifted her weight to one arm long enough to unlock the door, then nudged it open with my boot. The inside was warm and dim. The window unit hummed. The air smelled like coffee, sawdust, and the chili I had made last night. A couch sat against one wall, an old blue recliner against the other, a small TV perched on a crate between them. Tools were stacked in the corner, neat but visible. A photo of my sister and me on a fishing pier hung above the TV. "This is your place?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Told you, not fancy." "It is real," she said quietly. I carried her to the recliner and set her down as gently as I could. She gripped the armrests until her ankle stopped screaming. "Do you have ice?" she asked. "I have ice, wrap, and pain meds," I said. "Also Wi-Fi, barely." She pulled her phone out of her pocket, checked the screen, and frowned. "I have 15 minutes before the call," she said. "Can you get the swelling down that fast?" "No," I said. "But I can start." I grabbed a towel and a bag of frozen peas from the freezer, then filled a glass with water and set it on the side table. "Take off the shoe," I said. She raised an eyebrow. "You first," she said, nodding at my boots. I snorted. "Fair," I said. I kicked my boots off by the door, then came back to her side. She unbuckled the heels slowly, hissing when the strap brushed her skin. When she slid the shoe off, the purple swelling above her ankle made my stomach clench. "That is not pretty," I said. "Good thing my board does not vote on my ankles," she answered. I knelt, slid the folded towel under her calf, and pressed the cold peas around the joint. She sucked in a breath and grabbed the arm of the chair. "Breathe," I said. "You can swear if you want." "I do not swear in front of strangers," she said through her teeth. "I carried you through a storm," I said. "We skipped stranger." Her eyes met mine then. The CEO look slipped for a moment. Under it was someone tired, scared, and still fighting like hell. "Thank you," she said. The words were small, but I heard how much they cost her. The rain hammered the windows. Thunder rolled over the roof. In the middle of my not-fancy living room, the most powerful woman in town sat in my old recliner with a bag of peas on her ankle and her future blowing up her phone. "Ryan," she said, eyes still on the storm, "if I do not get on that call tonight, I might lose everything I have built here." I rested my hand on the back of the chair. "Steady." "Then we better figure out how to keep you standing," I said. The storm shook the windows so hard the glass hummed. I checked the clock on the stove. 9 minutes to her call. "My name is Ryan Cole. I fix porches and ride in the ambulance when the county is short on staff. I live in a plain brick duplex on Oak Street. 10 minutes ago, I was a guy with leftover chili and a book. Now Madison Hale, the woman who owns half the hill above town, was in my recliner with a swollen ankle and a board meeting that could break this place. She adjusted the bag of peas on her ankle and opened her laptop. Her fingers flew over the keys. Outside, the world was a sheet of water. "Wi-Fi?" she asked without looking up. "Password is on the fridge," I said, "written on the pizza flyer." She huffed out a short breath that might have been a laugh. "Of course it is," she said. I grabbed the flyer, read it off, and watched her connect. Little spinning circles, then the bars jumped to full. "You are lucky," I said. "When it rains like this, the internet usually acts like it wants a day off." "I cannot afford a day off," she said. Her phone buzzed. She clicked something, then sat back for a second and closed her eyes. "You okay?" I asked. She opened them again. The CEO was back in her face, even sitting barefoot in my old chair. "They want to cut 20% of payroll," she said. "Housekeeping, kitchen, front desk, people who live here, people with kids in the school down the street." She stared at the rain-streaked window. "The investors see a number on a sheet," she added. "They do not see Maria, who works 2 jobs and still brings free muffins to the front desk on Saturday." "You fought them?" I asked. She nodded once. "They said Silver Creek will survive," she said. "They do not live here. They do not know that without the hotel, half the town closes." She looked down at her ankle like it had betrayed her. "They already think I am soft," she said. "Too attached, too emotional." The way she said that last word made my jaw tighten. "Want a sweatshirt?" I asked. "You are still shaking?" She frowned, like she wanted to say no. Then another rumble of thunder shook the walls and she nodded. I grabbed the gray hoodie off the hook by the door and handed it to her. It had my name and the fire department logo on the back, faded from too many washes. She pulled it over her white shirt. The sleeves swallowed her hands. For a second, she looked less like the woman from the brochures and more like a person who might sit on a porch and drink coffee. "This will ruin your image," I said. "Good," she answered. "Maybe they will stop expecting me to be bulletproof." Her laptop chimed. The video call was starting. Names popped up on screen. New York. Chicago. Some faces I recognized from town hall articles, some I did not. She straightened in the chair, pushed her hair back, and adjusted the hood so it sat like a simple sweater instead of a borrowed jacket. "You can stay," she said without looking at me, voice softer. "Just stay out of the frame." "Got it," I said. I moved to the kitchen counter behind her, close enough to hear, far enough not to appear. From there I could see the side of her face, the tight line of her mouth. The glow of strangers lives on her screen. "Madison," a man in a suit said from a bright office somewhere with no storm. "You do not look like you are in your office." "There is a power flicker at the hotel," she said smoothly. "I moved to a more stable line in town." Quote. My router hummed like it was trying very hard to be stable. "Are you all right?" another woman asked. "You look pale." "Fine," Madison said. "Long day on my feet." Her ankle throbbed under the bag of peas. I could see it in the way her fingers pressed indentations into the armrest. "We will keep this brief," the man said. "As you know, occupancy forecasts are down. We asked for a plan to cut operating costs. Your last email did not address staffing reductions." Madison lifted her chin. "I sent an alternate plan," she said. "Energy savings, vendor renegotiations." Event packages for shoulder season. We can cover most of the gap without cutting staff. He shook his head. Not enough, he said. Labor is our largest expense. Numbers do not lie. Paper lies, she said before she could stop herself. The room on the screen went quiet. Come again, he asked. In New York, a 10% cut is a number, she said, voice steady. Here, it is a face. It is the chef who knows what every regular orders. It is the front desk clerk who is the first person tourists meet in this town. You want the hotel to feel local and warm and real. That does not happen with skeleton staff. Another man, older, shifted in his chair. With respect, he said, this is not about feelings. This is about protecting the asset. I leaned my elbows on the counter, fingers pressed into the wood. I had seen that look in the ER, people talking about the case instead of the person on the gurney. Madison, the first man said, you are young, you are passionate. We admire that, but passion clouds judgment. There it was, emotional, soft, young, all the words people use when they want power without calling it that. Madison's jaw worked once. I know this town, she said. I know that if we cut staff and raise rates, people will stop coming. Or they will come and leave angry. We will bleed slower, but we will still bleed. Someone else spoke up, a woman with sharp eyes and a clean background. Your last quarterly report shows you added local vendors, she said. Breweries, bakeries, a construction contractor from town for maintenance instead of the big firm we use in Denver. Quote, those choices saved money, Madison said, and they gave us better service. Guests talk about the local beer. The bakery delivers at 5 in the morning when big trucks cannot make it up the pass. Is that the same local contractor who stood up at your town council meeting last month and argued against tax breaks for the hotel? The first man asked. My stomach dropped. I knew exactly which local contractor they meant. Madison's eyes flicked to the side for a fraction of a second. To me. Yes, she said. Ryan does good work. So you are hiring your critics, the man said. Interesting strategy. I am hiring the people who show up, she said. He gave a patient smile that did not reach his eyes. This is the concern, he said. You are blurred into this town. You cannot make clean decisions if you see every vendor, every employee as a neighbor and not a variable. Lightning flashed outside. The lights flickered once. Madison's shoulders stiffened, but the power held. You brought me here because I know this town, she said. Now you are punishing me for acting like it. Quote, careful, he warned. I could see the way her fingers curled, the way she almost bit back the next words. Before she could speak, the screen glitched. All the faces froze, then blurred. No, she said under her breath. Not now. The router clicked. The lights dimmed and then came back. The storm growled over us like a warning animal. Hold on, I said. I stepped to the side of her chair and checked the router. The little lights blinked red and green, angry. Signal is rough, I said. Mountain storms do that. You think? She said through clenched teeth. Can you hotspot from your phone? I asked. She checked. 1 bar. Then none. Then 1 again. It is barely holding, she said. The screen came back. The man in New York frowned. Madison, your connection is not stable, he said. This is what happens when you run things from the middle of nowhere. Something inside me snapped at that. This, middle of nowhere, is the reason your hotel has a view people pay for. I said before I could stop myself. His eyes shifted. I did not realize you had someone else in the room, he said. Madison's hand shot out and grabbed my wrist. A warning, stay back, do not get dragged in. This is Ryan, she said quickly, local contractor. The critic, he said, how fitting. I felt heat crawl up my neck. I wanted to tell him where to put his asset, but I kept my voice level. I am the one who fixes the deck your guests drink on, I said. And the one who rides in the ambulance when they crash their rental cars on the pass. Your asset lives on ground we all share. He stared at me like he was trying to decide if I was a threat or a mosquito. Madison, he said, ignoring me. We will reconvene next week. Send a revised plan, one that includes real cuts. If you cannot do what is necessary, we will find someone who can. The call ended before she could answer. The screen went dark. The room was suddenly very quiet except for the rain and our breathing. Madison let go of my wrist. Her hand dropped to her lap. For a second, she did not move at all. The light from the laptop screen faded from her face. "You are welcome," I said softly. Her laugh was small and sharp. "You probably just made it worse," she said. "I have that talent," I said, "but I am not sorry." She leaned her head back against the chair and stared at the ceiling. "They are going to come here," she said, "in person. They will walk through my hotel with clipboards and look at every face like a number that can be erased." She turned her head and looked at me. "And you," she added, "just made sure they know exactly who to blame if I do not roll over." The storm growled again. My duplex felt smaller, more fragile. "What do you want me to do?" I asked. She took a long breath. "I do not know yet," she said. "But whatever is coming, I am not walking into it on one leg." Her eyes dropped to her ankle, then came back up to mine. "Which means," she said slowly, "I am not going back to that hill tonight." The words hung between us, heavier than the rain. She was Madison Hale, hotel owner, stranger from the glossy hill. And she had just chosen to stay in my small brick world a little longer. By the time the call ended, the storm had settled into a steady, angry drum on the roof. It sounded less like rain, and more like someone trying to knock the town loose. "My name is Ryan Cole. I fix things. Houses. Railings. The occasional broken wrist in the back of an ambulance. I am not used to being in the middle of someone else's corporate war." But there was Madison, barefoot in my recliner with my hoodie on, a bag of peas on her ankle, and a company full of strangers waiting to see if she would bend. She let out a breath that sounded like it had been held all week. "I am starving," she said. "That I can fix," I answered. I reheated the chili on the stove, tossed some cornbread in the toaster, and tried not to think about the fact that there was a multi-million-dollar hotel owner in my living room watching my thrift store dishes. She watched me move around the kitchen like she was cataloging what kind of person I was by how I stirred a pot. "You live alone?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "My sister moved to Denver. My uncle left this place to me when he retired. Now it is just me and whatever project I drag home." I nodded toward the corner where a half-sanded door leaned against the wall. She followed my gaze. "You fix things for a living and still have a crooked cabinet," she said. "Carpenter's curse," I said. "Everyone else gets the straight lines. I get the list that never ends." Her mouth twitched. "Same," she said quietly. I brought her a bowl and set it on the side table, then handed her a spoon. She took a cautious bite, then a bigger one. "This is good," she said. "Careful," I said. "You sound emotional." She almost choked laughing. "Do not start," she said. We ate in a strange kind of companionable quiet. The storm filled the spaces between the clink of our spoons. Her ankle stayed elevated. Every now and then, she adjusted the ice with a small wince. "What happens if you tell them no?" I asked finally. She stared into her bowl. "If I refuse to cut staff, and they replace me," she said, "they bring in someone who does it without blinking. They will call it restructuring. The town will call it betrayal." "And if you say yes?" I asked. "I stay," she said, "but I have to look my employees in the eye and tell them they lost their jobs so the investors could get their extra %." She set the spoon down. "My father built that hotel," she added. "He wanted it to lift the town, not hollow it out." The way she said father told me that subject was a room with locked doors. "You ever think about selling?" I asked. "Taking the money and leaving this mess behind?" "Every time I wake up at 3 in the morning," she said. Then I remember Maria's muffins and the way the front desk kids saved the best view rooms for anniversaries. I remember the local band that only gets booked because I insisted. If I sell, someone turns it into another chain that does not care about any of that. She rubbed her forehead. "I know it is just a building to them," she said. "But it is not just a building to us. The word us slipped out without her catching it. "Who is Sterling?" I asked. Her head snapped up. "Where did you hear that?" she asked. "You mentioned him at the council meeting," I said. "The chairman who never shows up but still signs everything." She studied my face like she was trying to decide how much I could understand. "He is old," she said finally. "Old money, old rules. But he has one quality the others do not." "What is that?" I asked. "He hates being lied to," she said. "If something lands on his desk that smells wrong and comes with proof, he listens." "So send him proof," I said. "It is not that simple," she replied. "You do not go around the people between you and the top unless you are sure. When you pull that lever, you cannot push it back." "Do you have proof?" I asked. She looked toward the window, where the rain turned the street into a glistening smear. "I have numbers that do not add up," she said. "A consultant named Ashby who keeps pushing the narrative that the town is dragging the hotel down. Forecasts that lean negative just when it is convenient. If I am right, he is cooking the story to justify the cuts and maybe a sale." "And if you are wrong?" I asked. "Then I am the emotional small-town girl who cried wolf," she said, "and they will never trust me again." The lights flickered once, then twice, then steadied. "Welcome to my world," she added. I leaned against the edge of the kitchen counter. "In the ambulance," I said. "When we get a call, we do not wait for perfect information. We take what we know, we check the signs we can see, and we move. Doing nothing is still a choice." She eyed me. "And if you are wrong?" she asked. I shrugged. "Then we adjust on the way," I said. But at least we were moving toward help, not standing in the road waiting to see if the car hits us. She snorted. "You are very dramatic for a guy who lives in a brick box," she said. "Occupational hazard," I replied. Her phone buzzed with a new email. She tapped it open and read. Her face changed in a way I did not like. "What?" I asked. "They moved the visit up," she said. "The investors, Ashby, they are flying in tomorrow instead of next week. They said they want to see real-time conditions, RU. In the middle of flood warnings," I said. She nodded. "They will walk around my staff while everyone is cleaning storm mud off the carpet," she said. "And they will say, 'Look at the wear, look at the risk, look how fragile this place is.'" Quote. Her fingers tightened on the phone. "They will blame the town," she added, "and use it as proof they should pull out." The thought of strangers in perfect suits judging every crack in this place made my chest feel tight. "What do you need?" I asked. She looked at me within that question like no one had asked it in a long time without an agenda. "I need to walk into that meeting with more than feelings," she said. "I need something they cannot spin." "Then tomorrow morning," I said, "we get you proof before they even step off the airport shuttle." She frowned. "How?" she asked. "Leave the rich people part to you," I said. "Leave the town to me." Her brow furrowed. Then her eyes softened, realizing what I was offering. "You do not even like me," she said. "I never said that," I answered. "You fought me about taxes," she reminded me. "I fought the idea," I said. "Not you." "There is a difference." Quote. She held my gaze a moment longer than before. The storm outside softened, like it was finally willing to listen. Her shoulders lowered a fraction. "If I let you help," she said carefully, "I might owe you more than I can pay." "I do not need payment," I said. "I just do not want to watch this town get gutted while you sit on a hill alone." Her eyes flicked to my hand on the counter, then back to my face. "I twisted my ankle," she said again, voice lower. "Can you carry me if it gets worse than this?" Quote. "Only if you let me take you home," I said. This time, she did not flinch at the line. She let the meaning sit between us, clear and heavy. Then she nodded once. "Okay," she said. "Tomorrow, we fight." Morning came clean and bright, like the sky was pretending it had never tried to tear the town apart. My name is Ryan Cole. I woke up on my own couch with a blanket half over me, my neck stiff, and the smell of coffee in the air. For a second, I thought I had dreamed the whole thing. Then I saw Madison in my kitchen. She stood on one leg by the counter, my hoodie still on, hair pulled up in a rough knot, phone wedged between her shoulder and ear while she poured coffee into 2 mugs. Her bare left foot rested on the cool tile. Her swollen right ankle hovered just above it, toes barely touching. "I know, Maria," she was saying. "Tell everyone we open on time." "No cuts yet." "Yes," I said, "yet. Just get the lobby dry and the carpets as clean as you can. I will handle the rest." She hung up and noticed me watching. "You snore," she said. "You steal hoodies," I answered. She handed me a mug. "Drink," she said. "We do not have much time." "The ankle?" I asked. She shifted her weight, winced, and set her jaw. "Still attached," she said. "Still angry." "Sit," I said. "You are ordering me again," she said. "Only when you are being stubborn," I replied. She sighed and hopped back to the recliner. I followed with a fresh ice pack and gently moved her foot back up onto the towel. "You said we get proof," she reminded me. "What is your plan, hero?" "You handle the numbers," I said. "I will handle the town." Quote. She watched me over the rim of her coffee. "What does that mean?" she asked. "It means you email your Sterling guy," I said. "Send him everything you already have on Ashby. Forecasts, emails, anything that smells wrong. Tell him the investors moved up their visit." "And you?" she asked. I grabbed my boots. "I am going to show you what they are trying to erase," I said. Silver Creek looked rough around the edges but alive. Mud streaked Main Street. Sandbags leaned against the diner door. The river had risen but not broken. People were already out with brooms and hoses, clearing branches, checking on neighbors. First stop was the diner. Maria wiped rain streaks off the front window when I walked in. Her dark hair was twisted up in a scarf, apron already damp. "You are up early," she said. "Storm keep you awake?" "Something like that," I said. "I need a favor." "For you? Always," she said. I told her in simple words. "Investors coming. Looking to cut staff. Saying the town was a wait, not a partner." Her face hardened. "After everything we do for that hotel," she said. "They send guests to me when their kitchen is full. I made 500 muffins last festival and gave half away for free." "Exactly," I said. "Madison needs that in writing. Short, honest, no drama." Maria slammed a menu down on a table, then pulled a pad from her apron. "I will write it," she said. "And I will tell the others." By the time I left, she had a list of names. Housekeeping, front desk, the band drummer's wife. People who would send quick statements about what the hotel meant, what losing hours would do. Next stop was the old mechanic's garage, then the bakery. Then the tiny art shop that sold postcards no one really needed and tourists always bought. Everywhere was the same. Frustration. Fear. A stubborn kind of loyalty. "You tell Madison not to let them push her," the mechanic said, wiping grease off his hands. "Her father fought to keep this place local. She can too." I recorded short video clips on my phone, not speeches, just faces. The chef from the hotel kitchen standing in a doorway, still damp from mopping, saying, "This place paid for my kids' braces." The front desk clerk, nervous but clear, saying, "Guests cry at this view. They tell me this feels like home." By the time I got back to my duplex, my camera roll looked like a patchwork of Silver Creek. Inside, Madison's laptop was open on the table, papers spread around it. She had changed into a fresh shirt from a bag she kept in her car, but my hoodie was still over it. Her ankle was still elevated. The skin looked less angry now, more like it had accepted defeat. "How did it go?" she asked. I set my phone on the table and started sending everything to her email. "Half the town loves you," I said. "The other half loves what you built enough to yell about it." She opened the files. Her eyes moved quickly from clip to clip, statement to statement. The harder she tried to keep her face neutral, the softer it got around the edges. "I sent Sterling a report," she said quietly. I attached the weird forecasts, the consultant's recommendations, my alternate plan. I marked it urgent. I did not expect him to read it before the visit. "Maybe he will," I said. Her phone buzzed like it heard us. She picked it up, checked the screen, and froze. "What?" I asked. She swallowed once. He did, she said. Sterling replied. Her thumb hovered, then tapped the message open. Her eyes scanned the words. Well, I said. He wants a second call, she said. 20 minutes before the investors meet us at the hotel, with me, alone, and he wrote this. She turned the screen so I could see. The message was short. Saw enough to be concerned. Bring facts, not fear. He is giving you a shot, I said. He is giving me a rope, she said. I have to decide if I am climbing or hanging myself with it. I pointed to the laptop. Then give him both, I said. Numbers and people. She looked at the video files again. Maria, the chef, the front desk clerk. They did this for you, she said. They did it for you, I corrected. I just walked around with a phone. She held my gaze. You really do not want anything for this? She asked. Maybe one thing, I said. Her eyes narrowed. What? Let me be there when you walk into that meeting, I said, even if I have to carry you up the stairs. Her mouth twitched. You in that line, she said. It works, I answered. The board and investors arrived that afternoon, flying in just ahead of another band of rain. Sleek cars crawled up the hill to the hotel, tires splashing through leftover puddles. I pulled my truck into the staff lot and helped Madison out on the flatter pavement. She wore a dark dress now, simple and strong, with my hoodie over her shoulders until the last second. The ankle brace peaked above her low boot, laced tight. She leaned on a crutch the ER had given her, but she moved like she refused to let it define her. You sure about the stairs? I asked. She nodded. If I crawl in there, they win, she said. Halfway up the big front steps, her bad ankle wobbled. Her hand slipped on the crutch. I was beside her before she could fall, one arm around her waist, steady. Easy, I said. She grabbed my forearm, fingers digging in. I twisted my ankle. She said under her breath, Can you carry me? Quote. I looked at the glass doors, where investors waited with clipped expressions and perfect jackets. I looked at her, jaw set, eyes blazing. Only if you let me take you home after, I said. For a second, something warm broke through her tension. Deal, she whispered. We cleared the steps together. At the door, she straightened, smoothed her dress, and let my arm fall away. Inside, she walked into the meeting room alone. Except she was not alone. I stayed near the back, by the service door, out of the official circle, but close enough to hear. Sterling's face appeared on the big screen, older than the others, less polished. He listened while Ashby talked about negative projections. He listened while the investors listed risk, cost, liability. Then he said, Madison. She lifted her chin. Show me the town, he said. She did. She pulled up the alternate plan, the energy savings, the vendor deals. Then she shared the folder of videos. Faces filled the room. Maria. The chef. The kid at the front desk. They spoke in simple sentences about what this place was, what it paid for, what it meant. The New York man shifted in his chair, uncomfortable. This is anecdotal, he said. This is the asset, Sterling answered. Without them, this is just a building on wet ground. He turned his gaze back to Madison. You were right to flag the consultant's numbers, he said. They were weighted to create a desired result. We will be reviewing that separately. Ashby went pale. As for cuts, Sterling continued, we will not approve staff reductions at this time. We will revisit in a quarter after implementing your alternate plan. Madison's hand tightened on the edge of the table. She did not smile. She did not sag. She stood straighter. Thank you, she said. This is not charity, he said. This is trust. Do not waste it. The screen went dark. The room emptied slowly. Investors muttering. Ashby avoiding everyone's eyes. Madison stayed at the table until the last person left. Then she turned and looked straight at me. I walked forward. You did it, I said. We did it, she answered. She took one step toward me and flinched as her ankle reminded her it existed. I moved without thinking, sliding an arm under her knees and another behind her back. Ryan, she said, startled. You asked, I said. I am just following orders. She made a small face like she wanted to argue, and then let herself relax into my hold. I carried her out of the meeting room, past the polished lobby, past the big front windows that looked over the town. Outside, the clouds were breaking apart. Sunlight slipped through in thin strips, touching the wet streets below. "Where are you taking me?" she asked. "Home," I said. "My brick box. Your hill. Wherever you decide home is today." She studied my face. "Do you really mean that?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "But for now we are starting with getting you off this ankle." Her hand slid up from my shoulder to the back of my neck, fingers threading into damp hair. "You know if we do this," she said, voice low, "they are really going to talk." "They already are," I said. "At least now they will be talking about the woman who saved their jobs." Quote. She was quiet for a long moment. The only sound was the soft creak of the old steps and the distant rush of the river. Then she said, "Ryan." "Yeah?" I asked. "Put me down before you drop me," she said. I laughed and set her gently on the low stone wall by the parking lot. She kept a hand on my arm for balance. We were close now. Storm close. Heart close. "Thank you," she said again, and this time the words did not sound like they hurt. I reached up and brushed a wet strand of hair away from her face. "Can I kiss you?" I asked. "Yes," she said, "only if you mean it." I did. I leaned in and kissed her. It was not dramatic. No orchestra. Just the taste of coffee and rain and the relief of two people who had finally stopped pretending they did not need anyone. When we pulled apart, she rested her forehead against mine. "I twisted my ankle," she whispered one last time. "I noticed," I said. "And you carried me," she added. "Only because you let me take you home," I replied. She smiled, real and unguarded, and for the first time since the storm started, the town felt steady under our feet.